The Dunkings may have won the coffee game, but the Europeans are dominating the PGA Tour. And tonight, we start a new series, The Stories Behind the Stories. Tonight on The Tavern. Last week, I think he's back to form. He fell off a little bit last year, but he also was named Ryder Cup captain.
Damn it.
By going into
Give me King of Bradley!
Good evening, everybody. Steve, how we doing?
Well, I'm sitting here, the joys of live productions, right? I'm sitting here watching, waiting for Instagram to actually do something and see our video, and it's not there.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well,
sorry, Instagram world.
We know one person's watching, so
we do know one person's watching.
That's a good thing. But it's good to kind of you and I get back together here. The last time was at the PGA show.
Yes, it's been a couple
I took a little vacation after that. Then you had some work stuff.
You know what we haven't had since the PGA show, unless you snuck one in and I didn't get a text message about it? A Gleezy.
Oh, no, we haven't. I have not. I have
the world's greatest hot dog.
I've told people about it. If you watched last week, Dave asked me. I said that was one of the best things at the show. Oh, wait, I have. Yes. Hold on right here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Boom.
Mine's actually, you know where mine is?
On your
mine's on my Irish. Mine's on my Irish.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So did you have a good week?
It did. Did you enjoy Sunday night's game?
I did enjoy Sunday night's game until I was sick this weekend. I had the flu, which was nasty. So I was kind of quarantined away from my family, which was not nice.
Yeah.
But I watched the Super Bowl in our spare bedroom by myself. Yep. I am a Giants fan, but I also went to Penn State, so Jahan Dotson and Saquon Barkley, I was rooting for them and the Eagles. But what I liked most, I love defense in football, and defense wins championships, and the Eagles proved that. Yeah, that was a heck of a show. They did not let Patrick Mahomes do anything.
So I actually spent last week, and it's kind of been an ongoing day job. We hosted a conference here in Orlando at Universal Orlando. So it was kind of on the go from sun up to sundown all week last week. So by the time Sunday rolled around, I just wanted to sit on my couch, put my feet up, and watch the game. So I did that effectively, didn't do much. So it was nice to just be at home, watch the game. And unfortunately, I literally haven't touched my golf clubs since the PGA show week. So I'm kind of suffering from withdrawal. Yeah, I'm kind of jonesing right now. I need to get on the golf course and do some stuff. I need to hit that mindset golf ball all over the place.
Mine's more due to weather. So, yeah. But did you watch the Waste Management too?
I did watch the Waste Management. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to hole-in-ones, hole-outs, arrests, everything else later on the show.
All the craziness that is the Waste Management. But with that, let's get into first round.
Are you always looking for a safe and accessible place to store your phone in your cart during a round of golf? Well, our friends at Desert Fox Golf have the perfect solution, the Desert Fox Phone Caddy. Just strap it to the cart window frame and you're all set. Also worried that you will miss your favorite podcast, The Golfing Dad's Tavern? They have a solution for that as well. Just add their DJ 10 speaker so you don't have to miss a minute of our show. Find these great products and more at desertfoxgolf.com.
We love Desert Fox Golf. Yes.
Hold on, that edited wrong for me. It's not 215.
15%. I mean,
well, the percent went away. I was meant to to do that on there. So let's we'll fix that. There you go. 15% off golfing dads. Check out Desert Fox Golf for all of your phone caddy, your cup needs. I will say, Steve, this is the first time we've been back together since we paired
the speakers. Yes.
That was a magical experience. And I mean, we still want to try to get the surround sound with the 4. Don't know if it's possible, but 2.
We do. And but definitely that being able to pair the speakers in the cart and have some fun there, listen to music and just having fun on the golf course was awesome. So it
made it so much better. And I will tell you, if you are looking to get some, use that golfing dads code at checkout and get your speakers and your order at 15% off. That's a hell of a deal.
Amazing deal.
I don't know where you're gonna find 2 speakers like that magnet connect, and as you put out in a nice little spot, if you are suffering from I forgot to charge my speaker syndrome.
Correct. They have you covered.
On the bottom
and by the way, just want to let that know, I did connect the USB one take, went in right away first try, didn't have to mess with it. So
it would have been funnier if you had to do like the flip, and then you finally get it, even though it's on there. But we know how it is. But with first round here,
first round,
there's been some dominance on tour.
Dominance, yes.
Like it's fun to watch, though. To be honest with you,
I firmly believe this is cyclical. It's been commented on. It's been talked about on the Golf Channel. European dominance last 3 weeks on the PGA Tour. Kind of reminds me of the last time we played the Ryder Cup.
So here's the funny thing. When we played the Ryder Cup last time, it was actually U.S. dominance at this point.
Yes.
And when it came to Ryder Cup season, so I'm looking at this as a good omen for the Team USA, is that Europe's using all their good swings up right now.
Correct. I do think that there's going to be, if we lose this Ryder Cup after everything that's gone on, we're going to blow up how we pick the Ryder Cup team. I'm just going to throw it out there.
If we lose this at home at Bethpage in the rowdiness of New York City, we need to blow up how we do how we pick this and how we think about it, because I've said this from a while. The thing that I love about the Europeans, and they even saw it at the end of the Waste Management, they wait around for each other, they cheer for each other. They are a team and they are unified. Now, I'm not saying Team USA isn't, but I don't see it as much. I see the unity with the European team, and
there are pockets
it shows
at the USA level. You've got Jordan and Justin and Patrick and Xander, and you have those little pockets. The Europeans all hang out together. I feel like
they do.
I feel like if you were to go to any PGA Tour city and go sit down at dinner at, I'll just use a chain restaurant that everybody likes to go to, Seasons 52, you're going to run into 4, 5, 6, 8 of them sitting at a table together having dinner and splitting a bottle of wine before the week. So, I think that they're, again, we've talked on this show almost ad nauseum about the fact that if you want to play in the Ryder Cup team, you got to play New Orleans. You got to find a teammate that's probably in Ryder Cup contention. Y'all need to be there. I don't think we need to have Shane and Rory singing "Don't Stop Believin'" energy from the USA team. Although I would kind of like to see it.
I would. I mean, I'd like to see that. Like even when they won and they're on the bus, like that chanting, that camaraderie, that they're there for each other. I do think the Team USA plays kind of as a team. I think the last time we were there, it was too much of that, like of friends than it was teammates. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
I want that teammate. Like you're there and you're going to go to bat for that person. You're just not a friend with them and like playing golf with them. I will tell you,
this is a huge.
Yes, that's kind of what we're saying here is those clicks kind of need to. You can have the clicks, but they all need to fit together as a team and not be separate silos. And that's the problem, is that it's too much of the silo. I will tell you, the Deertree McIntyre team for
Petrie
you called
McIntyre,
it New Orleans. That's going to be the team that if I get first pick, I'm picking for New Orleans.
I ain't mad at you for that. That's a solid pick.
No. So I heard him.
Solid
I heard
pick.
him talk about that at the end of the Waste Management, and I was like, "Oh, I'm already making that pick."
So hey, we're changing things up tonight. I know this is a quick first round. Our guest is here waiting, and we've got a lot of additional questions tonight that we need to get through. I don't want to not continue to talk this, but I also want to be respectful of other people's times. So let's jump into the stories behind the stories.
So I want to just give a little intro for this. This is going to be a new thing that we're trying to look for. So if you know of good stories about people in the golf industry that they have a good story about how they got to where they are or what they've done, or they're a great, like, just heartwarming story, that's what we're looking for with these. And we got a great one tonight. So let's get right into it.
You know, when we talked about doing this, one of the first names we mentioned to each other, we talked about this. This was an idea that we've been talking about, and it really came to fruition the week of the PGA show. And the first name we both mentioned was our guest tonight. He's been a friend of the show. He's a good friend of ours, one of the greatest people in this industry. And when you get to hear where he came from and how he got here, you understand why he is more of an amazing person than he is the CEO of the greatest shoe company in the world. So let's welcome Mr. Robert Winskowitz to the stage. Bob, how are you, sir? It is great to see you.
There he is.
How are you, buddy?
Thanks, boys. Hey, Steve, I got to tell you, that was probably the best intro I've ever had since I've been doing this in the golf business. So thank you. That was very kind of you. Really appreciate it.
You just went to Steve's head. You realize that, right?
I know it took a lot for me to say that, but I have to call a spade a spade.
Well, Bob, first off, welcome back. And normally when we have you on, we dive into what's new with Sqairz. And I know you have a shoe launch. You're in the middle of a shoe launch right now, and you've got some huge news outside of the golf line. We're going to dabble at that a little later in the show. But we're here tonight to talk about you. We're here to talk about the amazing career you've had in the golf industry, an industry that all of us really would like to really work in instead of doing our day jobs and what we do now. And this week we want to look back at your career in golf before you became the CEO of Sqairz and then becoming the CEO of Sqairz. And what shaped you to this point and how you became the Bob that you are today. So when did you decide to go into the golf industry and have a career in golf? And how did you get started in the golf industry?
Yeah, it was actually not by design. I was working for a company called Alberto Culver back in the day. And Alberto Culver makes like VO5 shampoo and a bunch of other products. And I had a gentleman I was associated with that was an executive there that had left the company and went to work for MacGregor Golf. And about, I don't know, I lost touch with him, but maybe about a year later, out of the blue, he called me and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm still working in the industry." And he said, "How would you like to get in the golf industry?" And at the time, I played golf and I had enjoyed the game, loved the game. My father was a big golfer and kind of grew up in the game. And so I said, "Geez, it's something I'm intrigued with." He said, "I'll tell you what, next week is what they call the PGA show. I'm going to send you a plane ticket. Come on down, take a look, and let me know what you think." And as you guys know, anybody that's never been to the PGA show before, it's like a kid in a candy store. Like the first time you go to Disney,
Right.
And I walk in, I look around, I said, "I'm sold." And I remember saying to him jokingly as I'm walking out of the show, and he had given me a couple of metal woods, and I'll date myself. This was back when they launched the Mad Mac. All right. And if you've never heard of it, it was some of the best technology I've ever seen to this day in the golf industry. But I walk out of there with a couple, and I said, "Do I have to pay you for this job, or are you paying me?" you know? So that was, I took the job, and that was the beginning of my golf career.
So, Bob, that's amazing. I mean, MacGregor's a brand that's actually making a comeback right now, under some new ownership. But in your time there, it was the who's who in the golf industry. That was the name. They had Jack on staff with them at points. So, what would you say you learned in your time there that you still use today in your career?
You know, it's a great question. I think back to those days, and those irons were revered. I mean, they had the muscle back irons, the VIP irons, and it was, you know, they were known for their quality, their craftsmanship, their good looks. They had a mystique about it. It was like an aspirational brand. So, you know, those are the things that, you know, really stood with me over time, was that how at that time it really was. Even today, when you look back on those irons, anybody that, you know, is my age or older would look back and say, look, that was the iron to be played. And, you know, I don't know if you guys ever knew this, but when I was there at MacGregor, Cobra Iron had launched, and Greg Norman was playing the MacGregor irons, and he got brought on by Cobra to represent the brand. And I you know, he started playing the Cobra irons and couldn't play with them. And so we used to make the MacGregor irons and stamp them Cobra. And so we used to jokingly call them the MacCobras. Yeah.
Good old set of MacCobras.
Yeah, but I mean,
was that like the Naimuras that Tiger played?
Yeah.
You know, it's a common thing, because, you know, some of they have to grow into the brand. You know, they have to get used to it and play it over time. I think he did switch over to Cobras actually after time, but you know, you can't flip that switch. And you know, he was playing well back in those days, and probably didn't want to change too much, but there was a business opportunity there for him. So I think eventually those clubs grew on him.
Nice. Now, Bob, I know a little more of your story. You and I have known each other, you know, for quite a while, and you moved on from there, and you ended up working for a gentleman everyone in the golf industry is familiar with, and Mr. Arnold Palmer, the king himself. What was your role with Mr. Palmer, and how did you end up with such an amazing opportunity to learn from arguably the smartest businessman in golf?
Yeah, when I was with MacGregor, I got called one day from a recruiter and said that, you know, Arnold Palmer was looking for a golf company, was looking for a senior VP of sales and marketing. And, you know, at the time, my boss had moved on, because MacGregor was owned by a company called Amir, which is a Finnish company, and they own both Wilson Sporting Goods and MacGregor. And so he got promoted and went to Wilson. And I was at MacGregor for about another year, and I got a call one day, and you know, I said, geez, I'm interested. So I interviewed, and eventually got the job, and had to move down to Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's where the company was based out of. But you know, again, it was, you know, I was just blessed. You know, the good Lord put me in a good position, and I got down there, and I think within a month and a half, 2 months, I got the pleasure of meeting Arnold Palmer. And it seemed like every board meeting we used to have, it was either at Bay Hill or in Chattanooga. And we got to spend some time with him. It was great, because we would have dinner the night before the board meeting, and, you know, would get into a restaurant, or at Bay Hill, at the restaurant Bay Hill, in a private room, and we'd sit there, and inevitably he'd start telling stories. And, you know, as kind of as a kid back then, I would sit there and just, you know, my mouth would be open, listen to the stories, and to be in his presence was something special, because he was the kind of guy, my interaction with him, he was always that type of guy that I think the average fan thought he was. He was just a nice man. He always made you felt like you were the only one in the room. When he talked to you, he wasn't looking around; he was looking at you, and he made you feel special. And I found him to be a genuinely nice guy. But the one thing when you talk business with Arnold Palmer, the interesting thing, and this is my observation, that Arnold was a great golfer and a great ambassador of the game. And he partnered up with IMG and Mark McCormick back in the day. And, I would think, and this is my opinion, my assessment, that Mark and Arnold got in a room and Mark looked at him and said, you go out and play golf and do what you do best, which is be yourself, which is him, kissing kids, shaking hands, signing autographs, playing good golf, being a nice person. Just go do that and I'll market you. And I think that's when sports marketing was really invented, was because these two came together. And it's like in business, there's not one CEO, there's not one CFO, there's not one chief marketing officer that knows everything. You can't run a company thinking that you know everything. You've got to establish your strengths and understand your strengths, but really understand your weaknesses and then hire somebody to fill those weaknesses and to do what they do best. And if you can get other people that work for you that do what they do best and you do what you do best, you get a great organization.
I mean, that's
Greg. Greg, before you ask that, Bob, I know your team, and you have done a fabulous job with that, with where you are now at Sqairz.
Well, I mean, look, I was fortunate to start this off and find some good people, and then they hire good people. But it's a culture. It's a culture that we are truly dedicated to building the best products we can. We got into golf and all the science and the research led us down the path of opening up the toe box. And to do that, you had to make a less rounded, more squared off toe. And, we took a lot of heat for that, it looked different. But, I always jokingly tell people, look at the cell phone where it started, or phones in general. It started, you got, go all the way back, but I mean, just in our time, you have a pay phone that's now obsolete. You've got, back in the day with a cell phone, you had a bag phone, you had a car phone, then you had that big phone you carried around, and then you eventually got to something you can put in your hand, and it's just gotten smaller, and now you can do everything with it. But that's, when you think about that, that phone took on a whole new look, and it took on, it went from a large thing to a small thing, and it was shocking to a lot of people. But innovation often changes with shape. You've got to change the shape of it. You've got to change the look of it in order to implement and integrate technology and innovation in it. And that's what we did. And so, it's something where we have a team that truly believes in helping people play at a higher level. And, who would think years ago that people were making statements saying that just by changing your shoes, you can hit the ball farther and straighter. And that's exactly what we did.
So, Bob, I want to go back to Mr. Palmer and your time with him, because you've created such an iconic brand now with Sqairz. But when you were with Mr. Palmer, you talked about all the stories and all the times that you went from Chattanooga to Bay Hill. What's one of your favorite stories that sticks with you that you learned from, or just a fun story that you have with you and Mr. Palmer?
The one story, because it was a tremendous learning situation that sticks out of my head, is I remember we were presenting a new iron at one of the board meetings, and I was so excited because this thing really looked good. It had it just was clean. It had a great new shaft in it at the time, a new innovation in shaft technology, and we sought out the best grip, and I thought we had built one of the best irons that was on the market. And I got up there and I was so excited about presenting this to him that I presented it to him. And about a quarter of the way through the presentation, he interrupted me. He said, "Bob, excuse me, what's in it for the golfer?" And I was sitting there presenting the good looks of the new tech. He goes, "What's in it for the golfer?" And, I to this day, I don't think I was caught. Well, I do know I was caught off by surprise, but I learned a lesson that I should have led off with that this is the benefits for the consumer. This is the benefit for the golfer. And that really has been a guide for me in this company, that the first thing that I would tell you is that, the benefit here is for the golfer, that we can improve his balance and stability. Therefore, they will hit the ball farther and straighter. So, that's one of the situations that stand out in my mind as I think back of my career at Arnold Palmer Golf Company.
Well, and that's great that you've taken that knowledge from one of the greatest golfers to ever live, and you've worked with him, and now you've taken that and you're instilling that in your staff and your team with Sqairz, and that's awesome to pass that kind of legacy on there, and that you learned and kept it going there. That's the stories we love hearing in this kind of setting here. So thank you, Bob.
Yeah, and it really set the tone for me that you always, and sometimes the consumer doesn't know exactly what they want and need.
That is true.
And I think Apple, one thing I'm amazed about as a marketer, I'm amazed at Apple, that Apple can launch an Apple 16, a 15, and before the 15, is 6-9 months into it, they antiquate themselves. They're always looking for ways to improve their product. And there's a lot of things in cell phone technology today that we had never imagined. And as a consumer, we didn't even know we wanted or needed. And, so the key in, I think, innovation and product development is, you've got to antiquate yourself before somebody else does it. So you've always got to look at how you can make it better in any way, shape, form. Force yourself every year to make it just a little better.
So that kind of brings me to another question here, Bob, is I teach my team and I teach a lot of other people about like failure. Sometimes we fail, but it's how we get back and learn from our failures. So can you tell us about a time maybe with Sqairz, with MacGregor, with Mr. Palmer, or something where something didn't go right, and how did you react, and how did you learn from that failure to grow and become even better?
It's a great question, and the word failure is really it's something that truly happens every day. It really does. In my role in this company, I'm sitting here every single day when I wake up. I am counting my blessings, but I would tell you that I'm always looking for what's going to go wrong. There has been times where, little things that can impact your success happens on a daily basis. And if you qualify them as a failure, you could sit there and say, hey, I've had 1,000 of them and 7 of them happened today, but I know what you mean by the question, which is there's something there that, didn't go as I expected and learn something for it. I could honestly tell you, I can't pick from all of them out there because it's happened so many times. Thank God nothing has been so monumental that has, taken everything down. But I can't really think of one thing because I can think of 100 things here. But the point is that, you've got to be very, I always say that you've got to pay the rent every single day in this business. You got to pay the rent, and you got to learn from the mistakes, and you try new things. And I have tried a lot of things and invested a lot of money in certain marketing, just say ideas or thoughts, and they didn't pay off. I wasn't willing to put everything on black or red, don't get me wrong, but I was trying new things. And when they didn't work in a small company, they hurt, but you learn from it. And then you adapt, you overcome, and you start developing guardrails in the business that which direction you want to be, but you never go straight. You always try different paths, and we'll continue to do that. And I can tell you that probably 70% of the new paths we tried fail, didn't get to our expectation, but there's always something you learn from it, and you try not to repeat it again.
And that's always good. That's what I always say to my staff is I go, failure is not a bad thing. It's what you learn from it and move forward. It's when you fear failure is when it can really hurt you. But like you said, you always try to find those avenues, you find those guardrails, and you don't go all in on red or all in on black. That's definitely not a good thing to do. So I really like the way you put that, Bob. Thank you.
Bob, you and I met in 2020 in a room that I haven't even shown Greg where this room is at the Orange County Convention Center. Greg, I will tell you this. Understand, remember when we went down and had the hot dogs down in that food court area?
Yeah.
It was below that.
Yeah. Yeah. The dungeon.
It was,
wow.
It was in the dungeon.
That is the dungeon.
Yeah. From the beginning, you've been different, but you've also been a disruptor in the golf shoe industry. When you look at your brand, before we get into the shoes, your lessons that you learned along the way, how did they help you launch this brand that literally right after you launched, the world was turned upside down? But how did your lessons teach you, and what did they teach you in launching a brand that literally thought outside the box?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I would say to some degree, you've got to be able to dismiss reality, because if you think about it long enough and you say, I'm going to launch a golf shoe, and then you start saying Nike, FootJoy, Adidas, and you put this all up there and you say, who in their right mind, would try to compete? So to some degree, you're going to dismiss reality. But I think coupled with that, you've got to have a tremendous, overwhelming confidence of what you're doing and what you have, that it truly is better. I think today in business in general, it's small business that innovates. These guys, that entrepreneurs that go and start a technology company, software company, and then they ultimately get acquired by Facebook, Google, or whatever it may be. And they innovate and they really press it, they believe in it and dismiss the fact that there are other people out there 2 million times their size, and so, it's that belief in what you have. And then I guess that ability to dismiss reality that gets you to where you want to be. And I think when we launched, and we saw all the research and the studies that we compared against every other shoe, and we were generating more pressure with the ground. People who are hitting balls in our shoe, we were putting on a pressure mat, and we were seeing incredible increases with the amount of pressure they can generate with the ground. And then because of the added balance and stability, how much of that pressure they could actually use. So not only were we measuring more distance, but, we can measure dispersion. And, when you see this, it's like getting dealt, a straight flush, you got the winning hand, it's something that you can just go to market with, it's like, at that point, that reality of how big these other companies are and how much they spend in market is insignificant. You just you've got a better product, and you can wake up every single day just saying, I've got the best technology on the marketplace, and the data backed it up.
So Bob, I'm going to ask you kind of a two-part question that kind of goes along with that, because I love whenever you get talking about your shoe, the passion you have behind it because of how great your shoe actually is and what it does for the golfer. As you said, you learned from Mr. Palmer. So back in 2019, when you were first about to launch, and you even said it, you had Nike, you have FootJoy, you have all these other shoe brands out there. Did you ever ask yourself, is this really going to work? And then after that, when did you know I got the shoe and we've made it?
Yeah, I would tell you that I don't think I ever said to myself, will this work? I did often say, what the hell did I do? What the hell am I doing here? Why did I do this? Geez, I don't want to work this hard. I mean, I
probably said that. You probably said that too when you met me in the dungeon, but that's a whole nother story. But
that's a given. Yeah, that was like, I'm getting out of the business. Are you kidding? No, but there's, like I said earlier, you have these peaks and valleys in the business, and you hit that valley and you sit there and go, oh my God, what did I do? Why did I do this? And then they wake up the next morning and something good happens. You get an email from somebody saying, I just got a hole in one. I've never got a hole in one. I've played the best round of golf I've ever played, that this is the most comfortable shoe. I feel more balanced. And your mindset changes. You get back after it. But I would tell you, I think I probably told Steve the story before, but, we launched this in I think late December. And then in April, out of the blue, my phone rings. And it's this guy says, hey, my name is Jeremy Eisenberg. I'm Sir Nick Faldo's agent. And I'm like, all right, who is it? I thought it was a friend of mine breaking my chops, and
it was Steve calling you.
Yeah. So I was sure that it was just somebody, messing with me. And he says, well, look, Sir Nick is working on his swing, and he's working on balance and stability, and he's doing these exercises. And the thing that I remember, it was kind of like in the Karate Kid when he does that crane, and he's on one foot and he's got both hands. He said, well, he's trying to balance like that. And, he decided to research balance and stability in golf shoes. And thank God for search engine optimization, because he found us. And so we sent him a couple of pairs of shoes. And about a month later, I got on the call with him, and he asked me to tell him the story. And I told him, and he said, I would have never believed this. I put them on. I picked up 2.7 miles an hour, my swing speed. If you had told me this, if you had wrote me, I would have never believed it. And how do I get involved? And he stopped like that, and I was almost speechless, And that was really the time that I said, I got something here. You've got a 6-time major champion, won over 40 events, and who is very analytical, very into ground force and swing analysis. He, the story behind him, changed his swing with Ledbetter, and it was kind of like the ultimate validation, so to speak.
That's fantastic. Like, just wrap someone like that. You've worked with Mr. Palmer, and then have another major champion just reach out to you and validate what you've done is phenomenal.
Yeah, then we had some guy named Steve McMillan wear the shoes, and
your sales went down then, so
it just took it a whole nother level. Which way, I don't know, but it took it to another level.
Wow. When we met down in the dungeon, it wasn't just a meeting with you. We sat down with Dave and John from your team also, and we talked for an hour. And anyone that's ever been to the PGA show, Greg, how many hour-long meetings did we have at the PGA show 3 weeks ago? Besides our show.
Maybe one.
Yeah, maybe one. Yeah. And you talked about the shoe. You talked about the square toe. You talked how they could help a golfer. And when you launched, you were very targeted at that show about getting the word out. And then the critics came out. You and I know this because you and I have had long conversations about this. A lot of other shoe brands took shots at you because you were different. From your position as the CEO, how have the critics made you better today than you were in 2020 when we met? And how do they make you think differently than 5 years ago?
Yeah, you've got to take, I would say most of it, you gotta consider most of what people are saying. You know, you're always going to have the naysayers, and you know, innovation. You know, it's like they say, the pioneer always gets the arrow. You know, and you know, innovation. When you come out, there's always going to be people say, "Oh, it looks good. Oh, that's a bunch of crap." And you know, you got to expect an amount of that. But the thing you don't do is lend a blind eye to it. You listen, and you know, and then eventually, you know, you watch and you hear things like when we launched. You know, we understood we may be a little heavier than a lot of shoes at that time, but we weren't the heaviest shoe. There were other things, you know, we were maybe not the most breathable shoe at the time. We you know, may not have had the best waterproofing system at the time, you know, so, you know, you listen to people and what people say, not necessarily the critics that are sitting on a perch just looking to take somebody down, but you know, you listen to the average guy, the golfer. You listen to him. You always listen to him. I mean, I spent 3-4 years on Instagram and Facebook almost every single night. Every single night, I would sit down on my couch, whether I was watching a hockey game or watching whatever it may be. I would be scrolling through and I'd be looking at comments, and somebody would say the shoe's too heavy, or I don't like that color, or you know, it's not breathable. It's too hot. And you make a mental note of that. And then it becomes a checklist. And, you know, I will tell you that we haven't got into this yet, but I've been hunting down the perfect confluence of structure and weight since I started this. And those two things oppose each other in golf footwear is weight and structure. And unfortunately, what's happened in the golf business, which has happened in other sports, is everybody's tried to sneakerize everything. And the only thing they haven't yet tried to sneakerize is like the ski boot business, you know? So if you think about it, you're going to play golf, you're playing a golf shoe. If you're going to go skiing, you wear a ski boot. And the reason why that ski boot is designed the way it is for obvious reasons. But, you know, the industry has tried to sneakerize golf footwear. And if you can take a shoe and hold it by a heel and a toe and twist it, throw it away. You can't play any land-based sport in that shoe. Why? Because it's got too much give. It's got too much torsion in it. That it's going to move, and it's inefficiency. It creates inefficiencies. So, you know, I like I said, I kind of got off on a tangent here, but, you know, I listened to people over the years saying, you know, take out weight. And I always said, well, it's not so easily done when you match it up with structure. And so I will tell you this, that when we started this company 6 years ago, we're about 580 grams. And this year we're launching a shoe at 424 grams, which is the lightest performance-based golf shoe in the market. When you look at a G4, you look at the Premier, you look at the FootJoy Traditions, you look at the Tour 360, we're all lighter than that. We're lighter than that by almost an ounce. So I have spent 6 years trying to find that perfect balance between structure, which ultimately is stability for the golfer, and lightweight. Now, I just wasn't going to launch a lightweight shoe without any traction, these spikeless shoes without any traction. And anybody that's listening to this podcast that wears a spikeless shoe, I would tell you that 82% of all tour players wear a spikeless shoe, a spiked shoe. And of those 82%, 30% still wear a metal cleat, and they can do it on the tour. But there's a reason why 82% of all tour players wear a removable cleat. And that's because of the ground connection, traction, ultimately it's energy production. So, you know, again, to your point, I listened back in the day, and I've made a mental checklist, and I've tried to check them all off over the last 6 years.
And by the way, we'll just say it, the tour players like to walk on concrete with those because it makes me jealous that I can't do it anymore. So
you missed the clickety click.
It really is one of those special
sounds,
you know. It's a
right,
special sound. It is, you know.
I will say, Bob, the thing that I love most about your shoes is that stability. I feel like my foot is firmly into the ground. Like I feel like I have a foundation when I'm standing there, and it creates a great way to start off my any swing that I make. So.
And that's, that was one of the things that Faldo said to me, Sir Nick Faldo said early on is, I just feel so stable with these shoes that I have the confidence to go after it when I want to go after it, need to go after it, that I don't worry about anything else. They feel so stable. I just feel I can take it up a notch.
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm one with the ground and that I'm not going to roll my ankle because the shoe's going to twist or anything like you said in there, which is amazing. But with your Sqairz, you started out as a direct-to-consumer golf shoe brand, and now you are not only golf shoes, but pickleball and baseball now. You're the official shoe of the Major League Baseball Players Association, and now you're going into big box stores. So what made you expand your platform to these big box stores now?
Yeah, a lot of consumers want to try before they buy. And even though we have a fantastic policy of you can try these, you can wear these, and if they don't work for you, send them back, we'll refund your money, even if you wear them. There's still a hesitation for a lot of people to want to go through that process of trying and then exchanging if they don't fit. So, we made that decision to start opening up retailers, and very fortunate that we're moving into Dick's Sporting Goods with our new baseball shoes. And, we're starting to open up a lot of these retail accounts in baseball and now pickleball.
I wish I was playing softball again so I could get the baseball one and have a use for it right now. But once my son gets into baseball, I might use it as a coaching cleat. That might be my.
Here's a new one. Here's a new one for you. This is our new models of baseball. This is like
nice.
So these good. These colorways are really popular amongst the young kids today. So we're very excited about the baseball business and our partnership with Major League Baseball Players Association. We just signed a couple of players today. We signed Liam Hendriks from the Red Sox, who is their top closer. We've got Derek Hall, who is hopefully the starting first baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And we've got a handful of other guys that we'll be announcing pretty soon. But, we're pretty excited about baseball and pickleball.
That's awesome. And I will say your pickleball shoes that Steve and I were wearing at the show, super just comfortable just to walk around in, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah, when we took the baseline technology we developed for golf of the wide toe box, and on the pickleball shoe, we did a lot of different things to prevent rollover. There's a lot of injury happening in pickleball today, and again, it's that twisting of the shoes. A lot of people are wearing their walking shoes, their running shoes, and shoes that really weren't made for pickleball. So we really designed this shoe that's got a lot of interesting features and benefits of wider toe box. We've got some on the lateral side of the shoe. We've got what we call these outriggers here that again prevent rollover injury. So there's a lot of technology and a lot of time that went into this, and we officially launched today on Pickleball Central, which is one of the largest online pickleball retailers, and it's going very, very well.
So, Bob, on a side note, when we were at the PGA show, how many pickleball matches did you watch at that pickleball court right in front of you while you were there? Because I swear every time we came by, there was a giant pickleball match going on.
That sound that ball and that paddle make is going to stick with me forever and a day. I had to listen to that for 3 days, and it was good. It was good to watch players out there and to watch different motion. I haven't seen that much pickleball in a long time, and it gave me a good confidence that what we developed was pretty solid.
Bob, talking from a business standpoint, what you've developed, If someone wanted to enter the golf space with something that might be a little different, what advice would you give them going into this world?
Don't do it.
I kind of felt like that was going to be the answer to that question.
Yeah,
but...
I kind of did too.
Just be willing to dedicate every waking hour of your life to, it's a tough industry. When I look at all segments of the golf industry, whether it's golf balls, I think there are so many patents out there in golf balls that there's, I don't know how you could, and with USGA rules now and regulating the golf ball, I don't think there's any way. In fact, even in clubs today, they're commoditized. I don't care what anybody said; it's a commodity. I did a study that I looked at driving distance from 2013 to 2023, and the only reason I didn't do 24 is because I didn't see any numbers published. But I was looking at the average driving distance of an amateur at that time frame, and it actually hasn't gone up in 10 years. In fact, I think in the last year it's gone down a half a yard. And when you think about how many people have gotten go through club fitting today, how many people have taken lessons with all the advertisements of shaft technology and head technology and golf ball technology, if you believed everything you listened to for the last 10 years, you should be hitting the ball an extra 500 yards.
Yeah.
And it actually hasn't gone up. Now, I challenge everybody out there to think, well, what has changed over the last 10 years? Well, the industry went from this structured spike shoe to a spikeless sneaker-like shoe that went up to about 62% of the business and in footwear. And when you think about where does distance come from? It comes from your interaction with the ground, and your golf shoe is probably one of the most important pieces of equipment. So I'd love to debate anybody out there that says, well, why hasn't distance gone up in the amateurs? Now, it's only gone up about 9 yards and on the PGA Tour. Well, I mean, they all wear spiked shoes. 82% wear spiked shoes. But, I sit here and I scratch my head and say, well, in the business here, if you try to launch a golf club, you've got a lot of USGA regulations. And I don't think you can design a club other than the looks, that really can do anything different. Same with a golf ball. So it's a challenge today. There's a lot of commoditized business in it. It takes a lot of time, a lot of money. But if in footwear, I didn't see that innovation that clubs have put forth. I think clubs innovated themselves to a commodity where the USGA had to come in and regulate. In golf footwear, I mean, what has changed over the years, in innovation wise? What has helped the golfer play better golf? There's really nothing. In fact, my humble opinion is that all these lightweight sneaker-like shoes with no spikes on it has hurt the golfer. The innovation, you've got to have true innovation in order to get into this category, this business. And you need to spend, and you need to market, get it on consumers. And it's a tough road to drive, I'll tell you.
Well, Bob, I will tell you, your shoe, my dad, I got him a pair of Sqairz, and he plays almost 200 rounds, walks 18 holes almost every day, and he absolutely loves the shoe now, and that's his favorite golf shoe. So it's been tested and walked through on a yearly basis. But with that being said, we can't let you go without asking, do you have any samples to show of your new golf line? Oh, look at this. I love that he's got them ready.
Right here.
It's that blue one, too, he had at the show. That white and blue that I want on my
I love that.
So bad. I want that shoe so bad.
I got to tell you, I'm going to be so bold as to say there isn't a better-looking golf shoe on the market right now. This is, and this is a microfiber with a grain texture leather.
Wow.
It's a textured grain leather like shoe, but it's microfiber, so it's lightweight, it's breathable. but it just looks really good, clean, and classy. And that's on what we call the Pro S2. And then we have the Velo, which the Velo is a very interesting technology. It's got a material here on the lateral side of the shoe. And on the lateral side, that really takes the beating in people with aggressive golf swing. So if you swing over 100 miles an hour, you get a lot of energy loss on the lateral side of the shoe. And so we put this lightweight material right here on the shoe, so it reduces expansion in that area. Therefore, it transfers energy up and down. So it's something for high swing speed people. And then we've got the new Speed 2. And the new Speed 2 is just we really cleaned this up. We took all the logos off the shoe. We just made it very crisp. It's got the carbon fiber film on the back of it. We put a new midsole that it's what we call a Comfort Flex midsole. It's a foam EVA, so you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with this. We've got 3 new models. We've got 4 or 5 colorways in each one. And again, we took the weight. We reduced it by over 2 ounces. I think we really cleaned up the looks of the shoes. So I'm sitting here scratching my head saying, what can I do next? You know what? There's a question on here of something you can do next. One of our viewers, Mr. Matt Gessner, has asked for a size 15. You know what? Oh, Matt, you could tell Matt it's in the making. I don't know what's in the water today because I've gotten more requests for size 15s than you can imagine. So last year we launched wide shoes. I know you guys know this, but for anybody listening, this is not a wide shoe. It is not. What we did is where your toes meet your foot, we increased this area. So your toes sit naturally in the shoe. It's not a wide. However, on the outsole, I can hold this shoe by the outsole because we widened the outsole, not where you measure width, this is a normal D-width shoe. So last year we launched an E. So it's a wide shoe, but there are 2, it's a wide and it's the normal D-width. So, but then we started getting, we got pummeled with a lot of questions about wide. So we made that, then it was like size 15. So is it like this one, Bob, with that signature on it? Where'd you get that? Yeah, you know where I got that one. I got it with this one too. You remember that one? I do. You remember that? I will. I'll give you guys.
I feel like I didn't bring all of my shoes here to show off at this.
I'll give you guys a little taste here. This is a new Faldo shoe.
Ooh.
That we're going to launch. The pre-sale is going to happen in right around the Masters, and it's going to go right almost up into the Open. And this shoe is a very interesting shoe. We call it the NF 1990 MO. And the 1990 is when he won the Masters and the Open. And so this shoe is to celebrate that win. And inside every box, there's a story of that from Nick. Nick wrote this, and in every box is going to be a signed autographed picture of Sir Nick wearing the jacket and holding the jug.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we're only going to make 1,000 pairs, and the poor guy is going to has agreed to sign 1,000 of these photographs.
So, Bob, I'm just going to share this with you. The guy in the bottom window asking questions here, Greg, is actually going to be at the Masters. And the guy in the top window talking to you right now is actually going to the Open.
That's what's really funny about this. The 2 of us are going to those 2 majors this year.
Tournaments this year. So,
yeah, I've been to the Masters before, and that is quite a take. But I was very fortunate to go to the Open back when John Daly won it, and we got to play the course that Wednesday in St. Andrews right after he won, and the course was still set up. And my goodness, that was quite a treat.
No, Bob, thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, and thank you for taking us on your journey in this great career. We wish you the best of luck in the shoe launch. And thank you for taking time out. I know you are home with the missus tonight, so thank you for taking some time to meet with us tonight.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And guys, look, I wouldn't be where I am today without people like you guys that talk golf and allow people like me to come on and talk about their products and their journey. So, part of this industry is people like you, and I really mean it. I appreciate the friendship. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show too. And congratulations on your success.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Bob. Cheers.
Cheers. Hey, have a great one, Bob. We will talk soon.
You too.
Thank you.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, Bob.
Man, always.
I mean, what a story!
Like,
right. That was the thing.
First off, to have a front row seat with Mr. Palmer,
yeah.
I mean, we had kind of had a front row seat with Bob tonight, but I mean, he doesn't pay us. So,
that's true. And but that's the thing that I love about these stories, and we're going to do these. This is what we want to hear. We want to hear about you, about what you have done, what you has made you, and what has brought you to this point today. And that was what we loved hearing about from Bob today. So, Bob, thank you again.
Thank you again,
for
so much
coming on our show again and telling your story and the passion that you have in this industry, and frankly, the passion you have behind your shoes, because they are fantastic shoes, and I can't wait to get myself a pair of the new ones as well. So,
yeah, I've got a smack of the week. So if you want to roll that intro,
let's go. Just got my mindset ready. I didn't have all my shoes ready, but I have my mindset ready.
The smack of the week this week, if somebody needed some mindset to should have set this up better. Oops.
Someone else should have set that up better.
Right. No kidding, huh?
They needed a better setup and tie up on there. What do you do when you show up to the shop and you're like, hey, I came to pick up my car. Oh, yeah, we just brought it in. And they realize it's not there. Like, when did he realize he dropped the car on the street?
Correct, yeah.
So, all right.
All right, let's get into the last call.
So the waste management.
Okay, over under this week, winning score or number of arrests?
Well, the answer is number of arrests.
Number of arrests by one.
Yes.
Which was down from last year.
It was. So, I mean, I have the numbers here, which was, I thought this was impressive. I liked that it felt like the waste management got back on track to the fun event it was, and not the debacle it was last year. So
when you raise alcohol prices by 40%, and you scan tickets on how many beers you can purchase.
Yeah, but that's not going to stop people. They're going to find a way. Because what's going to happen is your one buddy's going to drink like 2, and his girlfriend's going to drink like 1. So now you've got 8 plus those there, whatever is left over.
Yeah.
But in 2022, there were 0 arrests at the waste management. In 2023, that jumped to 18. And in 2024, during the debacle, it jumped all the way to 54 arrests.
Yes.
Now, this is not taking into people who were like trespassed or just taken off. These are people who were arrested for drunk and disorderly.
There were 115 ejections this year.
115 people ejected, and 25 people were arrested. So we brought the number back down a little bit. So it didn't feel like it was the debacle it was last year, which was kind of like, hey, the rain, let everybody in. Let's have a mud party and turn this into Woodstock. It felt back to the fun event that it was. And I kind of felt that with the players this year too. They felt more comfortable in the noise and the chaos this year. That was still there.
There wasn't the beer shower after Sam Ryder's hole-in-one.
Oh, yeah, there was. You didn't see that?
It wasn't as bad as the Sam Ryder one. I mean, the Sam Ryder one, I feel like all of the people, I feel like it just rained down on the entire.
Yeah, but you had to use one of your 8 this time instead of one of your unlimited. So
yeah, your unlimited.
That's what might have changed that a little bit, but it still had it. It still had the fun. It still had the players throwing up. Still had them trying to rile up the crowd there. The different jerseys that they wear off the tee sometimes. Like I felt the fun was still there.
Correct. Yes.
I also felt the action was there on Sunday. Like there were times where you and I were talking.
I mean, you can go back to
Scotty's making a run.
You can go back to Grillo's hole out on Friday and his one on Friday, which was, by the way, the coolest video ever of a hole in one of the ball just spinning like 6 times.
I call it the Tony Hawk.
Yeah, it just boom.
Yeah.
Justin Thomas holing out on 18 was cool to finish his round. But then you had, and I don't know what would have happened if Thomas Dietrich had made the shot on 16.
Oh, they would have burned the Coliseum to the ground.
I think the Coliseum would have just fallen over at that point.
Oh, that would have been
dude hits it to 2 inches, and you're like, "Go in, please go in."
That would have been the most exciting kind of like. Okay, I've closed the door here with a hole in one.
He didn't close the door. He didn't close the door.
You slammed the door shut and nailed all the nails in the
2 inches. Yeah, like he wouldn't have been able to play the last 2 holes at that point.
No, like at that point, you end the tournament and you crown him champion already at that point. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, just JT's shot on 18 was phenomenal. I don't know if you saw this. There was a video today where a dad was with his daughter watching it, and he was filming it. And he's like, "Oh, hey, if they hit this in the hole, we can watch something else." And the guy hits it and doesn't go in. And then he shows JT, and it goes in, and the dad just goes, "Oh, that was a bad bet."
Bad bet. You never make that bet with a tour player with a wedge in their hand. I'm just going to say that because it's just a bad bet with a tour player with a wedge in their hand.
But it's something I do with my son where I'm like, "Oh, he's going to hit this in the hole here." And then JT actually goes and does it. So,
yeah.
But phenomenal tournament. But let's get into odds with virtual Dave now.
Thank heavens. What
I will just tell everyone that you might want to turn up your sound because this is very apparently sensual Dave when he filmed this. So,
hey everybody, Virtual Dave coming to you once again. I know everybody appreciates Virtual Dave more than in person or live Dave, however you want to describe him. Virtual Dave is where it's at. So I'm at conference this week, doing the wine thing, but always representing, even up here at conference. And yes, Bradley, that is a shameless plug. I will take my drink in a little bit. So here's our odds coming into the Genesis. Great tournament, great host. We know Tiger's not going to be there, and all of our thoughts are with Tiger and his family. But let's give the rundown of who's going to be playing this week. So leading the pack, as always, Scotty coming in at 4-1, Rory at 7-1. Colin Morikawa 14-1, Justin Thomas 18-1, Hideki at 20-1, Ludwig at 25-1. Patrick Cantley comes back this week. He's at 30-1, and then a couple surprises that are a little bit farther down the list than I anticipated. Jordan Spieth, who played really well last week after putting a new putter in his bag, is coming in at 40-1. Tom Kim, who let me down a little bit last week, but he just had a bad weekend, coming in at 45. And then Keegan Bradley coming in at 55-1. So there are your odds. I know Greg's got his pick coming up first, and I've texted mine in to those guys as well too. So we'll see you all soon, and have a great night.
So with that, my player withdrew last week, so I get first pick. Dave has second pick because you had the better player this week. With Scotty had the better finish at his run on Sunday. So I will make mine and Dave's pick because I know both of them. With my pick, I'm actually taking Jordan this week. I like the way he played. I like the way his putter looks right now. And that's where I think he was struggling. His off the tee in the middle of Sunday kind of went a little haywire there, but so did everyone else's. And I think if he works that out, I got Jordan Spieth this week at the Genesis, not at Riviera, at Torrey Pines.
Who's Dave got? Scotty.
Dave's got my pick's best friend.
JT?
He's taking JT this week.
Wow.
So Dave went JT. So the door has opened. Oh, but you cannot pick Scotty.
It's all right. I wasn't going to pick him anyway because I didn't think I was going to have him. I'm going to take Colin.
Oh, go with Colin. Okay.
Yep.
The other pick we thought you might take is Rory.
Thought about it. I looked at it.
We all thought
I looked at
as
it.
well. So
I looked at Rory and I looked at JT, but Colin typically plays well at Torrey, so I decided to go with Colin.
I don't think that's a bad pick there. So with that, great show.
And I'm just going to point this out: a signature event, and nobody in our group took Scotty.
I know that's the interesting thing. But I think here's the thing: Scotty's still coming back. He's getting better, doing Scotty things again. But it's a changed venue. I just think I'm going to wait to see Scotty do Scotty things for 4 days again.
You're waiting until he shows up at Bay Hill. Okay, cool.
Pretty much.
Okay,
so,
cool.
With that,
right.
Thank you, everybody. Bob, thank you.
Yes, Bob, thank you.
Have a great night.
Deuces.
I'm really fortunate, man. I mean, having the opportunity to build something that's
viral on our TikTok. That somebody was commenting about playing Whistling Straits for 700